Hi, friends. Today I am going to make the second video on the poem Hollow Men by T S Eliot. Here, the symbols, motifs, figure of speech, other elements used in this poem, title, and summary of this poem etc. are explained. Let's start with the allegory, straw men. The hollow men or stuffed men signify modern men who are spiritually dead. In the second epigraph, the old guy refers to a straw effigy of Guy Fawkes, which will be burnt in a ritual. Straw men are shown as a paradox also, both empty and full, present but meaningless. Straw has the quality of once having been alive, but now being dead and dry. Straw represents the emptiness of the hollow men. Straw is a proverbially worthless substance, something cheap, that animals eat. Next, C. Crossed staves. Crossed staves have connotations, like wooden planks of support, for the exhausted hollow men, a crucifix. Next, C. Wind. Wind here is a symbol for something meaningless and empty, devoid of human intelligence. Next, tumid river. Tumid means overflowing or swollen. A tumid river is a violent river, a river that is about to flood, and do serious damage to the landscape around it. The river is also an allusion to the river of Acheron, which, in Dante's Inferno, makes up the border of hell. There is metaphors in the sentences like, we are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men, where the speakers compare themselves to scarecrows. Next element is the eyes. The eyes are symbols of both faith and judgment. Eyes become the perpetual star, which is again the symbol for the Christian faith. Next, synecdoche is found in the line like, the eyes are not here, but there are no eyes here. Where the eyes are a part of the body of the hollow men, the part that could see if they had faith. Next, rose is a symbol of both Jesus and paradise. Next, similes are found in the sentences where the speakers compare their voices to the sounds of wind in dry grass and rat's feet over broken glass, because they have the qualities of being quiet and meaningless. Next, alliteration is found in the sentences like rat's coat, crowskin, cross staves, where repetition of C and S sounds are found. Next, assonance is found in the sentences like the supplication of a dead man's hand, where repetition of an sound is found. Next, irony is found in the nursery rhyme like, here we go round the prickly pear, prickly pear, prickly pear. Here we go round the prickly pear at 5 o'clock in the morning. The nursery rhyme was derived from a fertility dance, which the poem reverses ironically by substituting the mulberry bush with a prickly pear, a type of desert cactus, which suggests desiccation rather as we would expect fertility. Next, personification is found in the sentence like, we are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men. Here the hollow men or stuffed men are personified, giving them voices as if they were human. Next, onomatopoeia is used in the sentences like, not with a bang but a whimper. Here, bang and whimper are placed in contrast for an anticlimactic ending. See the ending of the poem. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang but a whimper. In this ironic anticlimax, the last line shocks, because it subverts our expectations of both the end of the world and the end of a poem. Next, see the motif of dryness, desert. The dry landscape represents a world that once had life or faith in the figure of water, but it has disappeared. The repetition of dry 3 times implies a lack of water or life. A cactus is a living plant that grows in the desert. So the land is not entirely dead. Faith is gone, so this land is dead. Oh, this is the cactus land. We are still living dead. The hollow men alter the children's song of Here we go round the mulberry bush to Here we go round the prickly pear. The prickly pear represents the barest amount of life. Next, the shadow. Shadow repeated in a refrain is a symbol of death. Without the comfort of faith in God, death paralyzes all action. The shadow might symbolize fear, anxiety. Next, star. Stars represent hope and redemption. Their light promises that the suffering of the hollow men might be made meaningful, that the world they live in might be renewed. Next, crowskin. The rat is a symbol of disease. The crow takes things further. It is a traditional symbol of death. In other words, by wearing crowskin, the speaker makes himself into a symbol of death. Next, see the motif of eyes. Eyes symbolize moral certainty and judgment. The sentence is, those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom, refers to Canto 3 of Dante's Inferno, as well as ancient Greek mythology, where death is figured as a passage across the river Styx. The poem sets up a contrast between the hollow men and those who have crossed with direct eyes into death's other kingdom, heaven. In dreams, the eyes of the dead are figured as sunlight on a broken column. In the sentences, the eyes are not here, there are no eyes here, eyes are mentioned. If there is no eye there, means that the hollow men are blind. The eyes of faith might reappear as the perpetual star, the star over Bethlehem, the star of the Christian faith. The eyes continue to be symbols of God's power to judge and monitor people's lives. The sightless hollow men have lost their connection with God. They are spiritually blind. The way God watches over human beings. The speaker sees these eyes in dreams. Now, see the justification of the title. Eliot wrote that he produced the title, The Hollow Men, by combining the titles of The Romance, The Hollow Land, a romance by William Morris, and The Broken Men, by Rudyard Kipling. Eliot claims, I combine the two. It is possible that the title originates more transparently from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, or from the character, Coates, in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, in which Coates is referred to as a hollow sham, and suspected by Marlowe as hollow to the core. The hollow men seems to follow the otherworldly journey of the spiritually dead. These hollow men have the realization, humility, and acknowledgement of their guilt and their status as broken lost souls. This poem is also a dramatization of a state of spiritual and emotional sterility in a physical and psychological landscape, meaningless existence of modern life. Next, see the summary of this poem. The poem has 2 epigraphs. First epigraph, Mr. Coates, he dead. This first epigraph is a quote from a servant in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, published in 1899. The servant reveals to the character Marlowe that another character, named Coates, has just died. Marlowe suspects Coates of being hollow to the core and lacking human and moral nature. The epigraph tells us that, in some sense, the poem is set after the death of Coates, or someone hollow man, like him. Now, the second epigraph. A penny for the old guy. The English celebrate Guy Fawkes Day every 5th November with fireworks and the burning of little strawmen, or effigies. Guy Fawkes, also known as Guido Fawkes, while fighting for the Spanish, was a member of a group of provincial English Catholics who planned the failed gunpowder plot, was convicted of trying to blow up King James I in 1605 by storing gunpowder underneath the Parliament building. The incident is known as the Gunpowder Plot. But Fawkes and the gunpowder were discovered before the plan went off, and Fawkes gave up the names of his co-conspirators under torture. To celebrate Guy Fawkes Day, English children ask for money to fund the explosions of their straw effigies of Fawkes on Guy Fawkes Night, at night 5th November, so they say, a penny for the guy. According to ancient Greek mythology, a person who died would need to pay Charan, the ferryman, with a coin before he would take you across the river XI-XII into the realm of death. So the old guy also refers to the ancient figure of Charan. Charan is a connection between death and money. If you don't have coins to pay Charan, you might get stuck, you cannot cross the river. The hollow men are in this condition. Theoretically, in Guy Fawkes Day, people are celebrating the execution of a traitor, though some have been known to see it as a celebration of the near death of the monarchy. Friends, now I am going to speak out the section-wise summary of the poem. To begin with the part 1. Part or section 1. The poem starts by talking about a group of people called the hollow men. The speaker says, "We are like scarecrows, both full and empty. They look like men, but have heads filled with straw. Their voices are dry, and what they say doesn't mean anything." The speaker compares their words to the wind, and describes them as footprints of rats on broken glass. The speaker then talks about how he and others like him have no real form. They are like shadows without color, or movements without meaning. Their words and ideas are pretty much pointless. The speaker mentions a situation where someone, from outside their group, came in. According to the speaker, this person would remember the hollow men, not as lost or violent, but as hollow and stuffed. Even though they are filled, it's like being empty for them. Friends, now see part or section 2. In second part, the speaker talks about another thing about the hollow men. They cannot look directly into anyone's eyes. They are especially worried about the eyes from the Death's Dream Kingdom. This is the first time heaven is mentioned. Even though they do not say it directly, it is clear that the souls going up there bother them. This is a great example of how Eliot used many images to make a bigger picture. The meaning of these expressions is not clear from the broken column, which might mean the loss of culture, to the winds singing. Eliot probably wanted to show that the hollow men are scared of something. It could be death, the truth, or a reality they don't want to face. In the next stanzas, the speaker asks the spirits from heaven to stay away from the hollow men. They do not want to be close to heaven, or to anyone whose gaze could show something bad about them. The last picture in this part is interesting. This time, comparing the guys to scarecrows is honest. They are trying to pretend to be something they are not, but are very close to it. They are pushed by the wind, like a scarecrow, and you can recognize them by their deliberate disguises of crowskin and crossed staves. In the third stanza, which has only 2 lines, the men ask for the final meeting or God's judgment in heaven to be delayed. Next, let's see part or section 3. The third part talks more about where the hollow men live. It's a really tough and dry place, like a desert with cactus and stone statues. People set up these stones as a kind of prayer to heaven, but it seems like a small and not very hopeful thing, especially compared to the fading star. Even though the star is far away and unreachable, it still gives a little hope until it disappears completely. Hollow men wonder if the afterlife, or death's other kingdom, is similar to where they are. It seems like they are stuck in between life and death, like a kind of waiting place. The best they can hope for is a future where people are pretty happy, but they still turn to broken stones when they pray. Things might be a bit better for those in the afterlife, but not by much. They are not completely alone, but they still journey alone, just like the hollow men. Dear friends, let's see the summary of the fourth part. Part or section 4. In the fourth part of the poem, the speaker talks again about eyes. He mentions how these eyes cannot go with people through tough times, like the valley of death. This refers to a famous verse in the Bible, but unlike the Bible, the people in the poem don't have God to comfort them. The word broken comes up again, connected to the idea of our lost kingdoms having a broken jaw. It is not clear exactly what the poet meant, but it might be about getting older and the difficulty of doing things without pain. The speaker says, they gather in a special place called the last of meeting places. It is like a beach by a swollen river. The word river connects to an earlier mention of the river Styx. They wait for someone to help them without saying anything. They feel stuck in this moment. The poet makes references to other literature, talking about the multifoliate rose from Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. This rose symbolizes paradise with angels, good deeds, and God's favor. The hollow men in the poem will not be able to see again until their eyeballs come back and form a star. That's when they become hopeful again. It seems like they cannot get out of their difficult situation by themselves. Next, friends, let's see the summary of the last part of this poem. Part or section 5. The fifth part is different from the first four. It is like a song, maybe sung by the hollow men. They sing about a prickly pear, cactus, instead of going around a mulberry bush. They dance around 5 o'clock in the morning, according to Eliot. The shadow is what stops them from changing things. It is the space between the idea and reality. They try to do something, but the shadow blocks them. The sentence, "For thine is the kingdom," is from the Lord's Prayer. Eliot uses it to show their sincere efforts, but also their inability to finish anything. There are more places where the shadow hides. There is a conflict between conception and creation, desire and spasm. These comparisons show that the shadow stops things from starting and reaching the end. The phrase, "Life is very long," shows their frustration with their situation. They might have a long life because they are stuck between life and death. Another long phrase introduces the Lord's Prayer again, but they cannot finish it. They remain helpless. Eliot uses 3 more broken lines in the fifth part of the poem. These lines are from the earlier parts of the poem, and they are put in to show that the speaker's lives are all messed up. These lines do not really give any answers, which suggests that things are just getting worse for them. The last 4 lines are probably the most famous ones Eliot wrote. In the end, they basically say, this is how the world ends, not with a big noise, but quietly. This connects to the song that inspired the first part of the poem, which also starts with, "This is the way." But instead of being happy and kid-friendly like the song, the speakers in the poem sing about dying. So, the end of the world is not about big battles or huge explosions. Instead, it is like how people die, quietly. It is a sad view of the future, and even though it might not make you feel down, it is intentionally not exciting. Viewers, here is the end of the second video on the poem, Hollow Men. Next video is coming soon. Thank you. Hope to see you in the next video.